This is Minnesota right here. Hello? Yeah, we're open-minded.
They won't do next year's one. They'll do 90-43.
No.
Didn't work well. Nope.
Tell them not to come back, Chris. Don't come back to us with negative points. Don't call us with negative points.
That's a video that the Panthers posted, and it indicates that a team that was sitting at number 14 in round one was trying to trade up to number 8. The Vikings trying to make a move. They ultimately moved down from 14 to 23. They presumably got at 23 the guy they would have taken at 14, but the guy they wanted at 14, Justin Fields.
Yeah.
They were making that move up to number 8 if they could get it, and it's not like they made a dramatic offer to move up 6 spots, but they tried. And if the Panthers had said yes, the name on the card was going to be Fields, Justin, Ohio State, the Ohio State, just to get it right.
Yes.
On the card.
Yes.
And think about it. For the way we reacted to Kellen Mond being taken by the Vikings at the top of round 3, you multiply that by 100. That would have been the reaction if the Vikings trade up from 14 to 8 to take Justin Fields, given that they still got Kirk Cousins under contract for 2 more years at $56 million, fully guaranteed.
Calm down. You seem very giddy about all this. Relax. Kirk Cousins is still your quarterback. They didn't change it yet.
Well,
okay?
Justin Fields isn't. I know, but I'm just saying it changes,
Definitely.
I think, the way we perceive the Kellen Mond situation.
Definitely.
This isn't just, well, he was the best guy on the board, and we want competition at backup quarterback. No, they're thinking about their next guy. The fact that they tried to get Fields underscores that they are evaluating Kellen Mond not just to be the long-term backup, but to be the guy as soon as 2022.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing that it brings to the forefront here, right? Like after the draft, when you and we discussed a lot, you brought up like, oh, Mond can be one of those guys that replaces Kirk Cousins. He's only got 2 years left on his deal, all those things. Of course I agree. I'm a big fan of Kellen Mond and all of those type of things, no doubt. But I think like what the trade shows is that, yeah, there's a real urgency, obviously, to replace Kirk Cousins. This wasn't like a third-round pick with Kellen Mond, I think, to go like, well, he just got really good value on the board. Let's draft him because we can't pass up the value. No, obviously there's a real thought in the replacement of Kirk Cousins, realizing this is coming to an end, and they don't want to be a part of, redoing it or extending it. I think that's basically what they're telling you right there. Between the draft pick of Mond and now seeing that clip pretty much says it all. And I think it's also interesting, of course, that he's in the division now, and Minnesota's going to have to deal with him as being the quarterback of the Chicago Bears. But I think more than anything, Mike, you're kind of spot on what I thought of it. Kind of telling us more about, I think, what Minnesota thinks of Kirk Cousins at this point more than anything, and it's also cool that, of course, they like Justin Fields too.
Well, and I think what underpins all of this, and it's not that the Vikings are ever going to share these details, but Kirk Cousins' contract had a clause that kicked in a fully guaranteed salary for next year of $35 million. This year, it's $21 million. It would have been an opportune time to extend the contract, to come up with something that worked, that gave them cap relief so they could do more in free agency.
Yeah.
It just felt like the planets were aligned for something to be done to replace the contract that runs through 2022. And I asked him about it Super Bowl week.
Right.
Well, and here, when I threw it out there, hey, is this something you'd be inclined to consider, salary cap and all that stuff?
Right.
He says, honestly, I just signed the extension last offseason. It really doesn't kick in until this coming year. It's a 2-year deal. Those 2 years begin with 2021. I think it's more about going out there next season and the year after that and playing at a high enough level that would justify being able to do another deal behind that. That is a very tactful and diplomatic way of giving a middle finger to the Vikings and saying, no new contract. I hold the cards. I'm going to do to you what I did to Washington. Well, what the Vikings aren't going to do in response to that is have themselves in a position where Colt McCoy is their plan B. They're going to go out and get a better plan B who may become their plan A. And that's where Kirk Cousins may have flown too close to the sun on
That's
wings
right.
of pastrami
Right.
and got the Vikings to say, we got to start looking for other options because this guy isn't going to play our game. We got to find someone who will.
Yeah, that's right. And then listen, Kirk Cousins, who's really good, he's not good enough to play this game to where teams are going to go like, oh, okay, all right, gosh, you're a superstar. We'll put everything down and we'll wait for you to get more leverage to leverage us for more money. I mean, that's basically what he told you, and that's basically what it is. I got 2 years. I haven't leveraged them enough yet to talk about the new contract. So we're not talking about it. I'm good with where it is right now. Okay. Yeah, I don't blame Minnesota. They're gonna move on. Kirk Cousins is real good. We know you can win games, but as you described before, he's not the type of guy that's gonna always be able to carry a team on his back, or when the offense is not hitting on all cylinders, the kind of guy that can physically do things off schedule to help the team out that way. And I would argue that guys like Kellen, Mond, and Justin Fields actually have more potential to do those type of things. So, yeah, it's interesting. But I think Minnesota is basically telling us that this is the last 2 years of Kirk Cousins, and we'll see you later. They basically, Mike, just went like this. They just plucked it off and went, we love you not. We'll see you 2 years from now.
But I still think they're all in with him this year.
Definitely, right.
Next year is when it becomes interesting.
Uh-huh.
Can they find someone who would take the $35 million fully guaranteed salary off their hands?
Rams are off the table.
Some of it.
49ers are off the table.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Washington's off the table.
Yeah.
But would they, presumably, but will they find a landing spot if they decide to shift from him to Kellen Mond? Or could it be that Kirk Cousins is just the highest paid backup quarterback in NFL history at $35 million next year if they go with Mond, who would be among the lowest paid? And for anyone who's confused, here's why the Cousins statement was so impactful, in my view. If he plays out the next 2 years, the Vikings have no way to hold him in place for 23. Well, what about the franchise tag? Hear about the franchise tag. His cap number next year, 2022, is $45 million. Because he was tagged twice by Washington, he gets a 44% raise if the Vikings tag him even once. That's $64.8 million. That's the franchise tag number for Kirk Cousins in 2023. So the only way you're going to keep him then is if you're the highest bidder on the open market. You got no protection. What kind of plan is that for the Vikings? Oh, Cousins is our guy the next 2 years, and then if he plays well enough, we'll extend it. We're going to be in competition with anyone else out there who wants to sign him.
Yeah, no.
It'll be 2018 all over again.
Right.
We can't have that.
No, you can't have that. You leave yourself in a bad spot. They've bought themselves insurance, for no matter, what happens. We'll see where it goes, but they're not going to play this game with Kirk Cousins and have him have all the leverage and power over their organization to where they have to deal with that, and that becomes the main talking point. Yeah, they have something now.
I guess the bottom line is, at the end of the day, what's going on in Minnesota is no different than what's going on in Green Bay. It really isn't. The Vikings have gone out and drafted the guy that they hope will develop into the replacement for Kirk Cousins, and the Vikings are saying through their actions and through the effort to try to get Justin Fields that they're ready to move on.
Yeah.
And Kirk Cousins is going to have to change their mind if that's the case. And because of what's happened, Chris, Cousins could have 2 great years, and then by then he'll have all the power and he'll walk away.
Yeah.
That's the thing. This relationship is not lasting more than 2 years, no matter how it goes the next 2 seasons.
I don't think so. I think they basically told you no matter how it goes the next 2 seasons, they don't view him as the guy to be the guy of the future, get them over the hump or whatever. I think that's quietly what's kind of being said here. It's like, even if we think he kills it the next 2 years, it's not going to be that to the point of where we're going to be like, oh, we got to have him back. We got to pay him top dollar. They're basically going, I think what you're saying, Mike, 2 years and done. And you're right. It's similar to Green Bay, except there's just, this one tiny difference, that Kirk Cousins is not Aaron Rodgers.
Not Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, just a slight difference in the player. Just a slight. And it wasn't a first-round pick and a trade up and all of that type of stuff too. But, no, your point's real. You're right. I mean, I think there's some writing on the wall here for Kirk Cousins.
But if this gesture operates as the red-hot poker that turns Kirk Cousins into the MVP, it will have been worth it, although I would not bet.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.